So let me tell a little bit about Unbabel, what we do, why are we doing what we're doing, why are we building what we're building. The main problem we're trying to solve really is that we all think we live in an English-based world, and that was true in '98, but realistically what's going on is that the internet is diverging when it comes to languages. If you think about it, it's so easy to create content nowadays that you create content in your own language, which means that you're actually having a Chinese internet and a Russian internet and a Brazilian internet, and English is actually expected to bottom out at 10% of the web in a couple of years. Right? And this is a huge problem if you think about it, because it means that any business that wants to be global needs to figure out how to deal with multiple languages. Not just businesses, but any organization, any nonprofit, any government, any idea, any content that needs to be global needs to deal with language. The way that we think and we see this vision happening is by empowering bilinguals with artificial intelligence. So bilinguals with smartphones, and then artificial intelligence to take the brunt of the work. The basic idea is the machines do 95% of the work, humans do the rest. Basically, in terms of pipeline, here's how the Unbabel translation pipeline works. You have machine translation to begin with, so the goal there is to provide you with the best initial translation possible. And then think of this as a map reduced for translation. So where people are mappers, right? So you have the stuff coming out of machine translation broken into pieces, sent distributedly to a bunch of mappers all around the world that do post-editing of the content, and you can have a sequence of mappers to basically improve content as it goes along. And at the end, you have the equivalent of a reducer that basically recombines everything, does a final pass, and sends it forward. Right? I mean, this enables you to do things really quickly, really at scale. Not only we've been able to do a couple of million words in 1 or 2 days so far, and we're just beginning, but also we're now able to provide human quality translation, depending on the size of the text, sometimes in under a minute. So here's the request translation, right? It's nothing complicated. You basically, this is a curl example, you have an API key that you get from Unbabel, use your username and the API key. It's a simple post. The endpoint is you translate, and this is a request. So you send a text and the target language you want. We do automatic recognition of the source language. And then the response, in this case, as you can see, would be something like this that would return a new ID. And then you do another call, I'll show you in a second, to then either get the output of the translation, or you actually can provide the callback URL where it's there, and the API will post the output of the translation to that callback URL once it's finished. Keep in mind that this is not instantaneous because it actually has human labor on it, right? And so, as such, you should expect a few minutes of delay depending on the size of text that you're sending. If you are using the machine translation aspect of it, then it's instantaneous. The human component obviously takes more than a few seconds. It's very important to say this, especially in this crowd. You can think of Unbabel in one of two ways, right? You can think of us as the machine helping humans. In this case, is more of an AI augmented translation. Or you can think of us as people helping the machine, right? In that case, it's more of a Google Translate on steroids. The API itself is really straightforward, right? You have text, you want to translate it, you send it, you get it back. You can post a callback, or you can ask to see if it's ready. Very straightforward. The cool stuff is the stuff you can actually build on it, right? Because with this, you actually have the ability to build stuff that function multilingually, right? And everything that you're doing pretty much can be made better if you make it accessible worldwide and globally, right? And for that, it needs to be in multiple languages. Here's ideas for apps that you could build with the Unbabel API, right? So every one of this service pretty much, would benefit from being multilingual. From anything that you do, think about the stuff you do in it. Like if you're working in a company, your company has your website somewhere. Could be WordPress, could be GitHub, right? You're using it to you're going to send newsletters, maybe use MailChimp or some other marketing service. You test pages with Unbounce. You send your emails with SendGrid or some other email service, right? You have your own email in Gmail. You do, you chat with other people in your Slack environment. All of these processes need to be made multilingual, seamlessly multilingual. You can't be waiting to be able to go out and decide, I need to translate this Slack message. That doesn't make sense, right? It needs to be a layer in your day-to-day lives that just enables you to function in a multilingual world. And it's really an API world. Like all of these apps have APIs that we could use to integrate them, right? It's all about taking the right input-output, the right API connected with Unbabel and do something that increases value.